Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. It's from a guy. He is in his mid-30s, and he's going to share his story that has a span of about 15 years since he started in college, and he was dating with this hot yet crazy gal. The type of gal that all guys know darn well you shouldn't be involved with, but it obviously is so hot that young guys can't say no. Even though he had all sorts of advice from his dad and uncles, don't date these types. And you're going to see what happens to the relationship as things go with the crazy gals, and how this whole span of craziness that goes on over the years, and how he definitely gets even with her on multiple fronts. It'll be a very good story to share. And there's so many lessons in here that he's learned that was told to him from his elders, his father, his uncles, all that, grandfather, that he didn't listen, but yet eventually learned through his own experience and reinforces the things I talk about in this channel. So it's definitely a very entertaining story. Now guys, this story is, as you can see, it's a longer video here, and this is actually part one of a 3-part series. So I'm going to be publishing this first one now, obviously in the early afternoon here on the East Coast, and then part 2 will be in the early evening, and then part 3 tonight after, probably after 8 p.m. So you guys can get all 3 parts at this in the same day, because there's no way I'm filming this all at one time, because it's just too much. I won't be able to speak. So you guys sit back, grab a beer, grab a popcorn. You'll definitely enjoy this guy's adventure and him getting even with this gal. Because every guy watching this knows that gal. Back in high school or college, the queen bee, if you will, the head of the Mean Girls Club with that attitude, and she was hot and she knew it, and all the BS that went on. We know about that type, and that was all. She was a liar and a cheater and a drama queen, and sadly, some guys get roped in, but this guy here handles it very well. He says, "Dear SSM, one of my brothers put me onto your site after a good long whiskey night. Why whiskey is relevant to this story, you will understand later on. While I've been very successful in business, I also have a secondary career writing comedy skits and stand-up routines for professional comedians. I do this under a different name and persona, as my professional business and comedy lives most certainly do not mix." I get it. Hey, the CEO of Goldman Sachs did DJing and everything until recently, so hey, everybody has a thing on the side. With a secondary career in writing, I belong to both a comedy writing club and a whiskey club, both of which are very relevant to my story. And my story. He says, I'm in my mid to late 30s, married with twins, and a third one on the way. Congratulations. Congratulations, Dad. I own my own house, mortgage-free, drive a reasonable car, have no debts, and have money in the bank. By everyone's standards, I have been more successful. I own part of a small brokerage specializing in high-risk, high-value insurance in developing nations. While I still own a chunk of the business, I've mostly moved on to run a secondary business that gives me time to spend with my family. Success is great, but success also may be a target for truly nut job gold diggers, hence is my story. And that's why I tell you guys, don't flaunt your wealth, don't flaunt your success, because not just gold diggers are going to be after you in terms of women, but also other people that want to take advantage of you. People that when you start having a lot of success and money, you have to question things with regards to why people want to be your friend and things like that. So it's best to just, keep it quiet. Growing up, my father taught me not to look for trouble, but that it hurts less to take a punch than being afraid to get hurt. He was right. He got all of us kids into going to the gym, both for fun and to learn to look out for ourselves. I'm a gym head to this day and love it. Awesome, brother. Your dad was smart. All boys, frankly, all kids, should be training in some kind of martial arts or self-defense when they're old enough, at least for a couple of years, to learn the basic fundamentals, to take care of themselves. It's the worst thing in the world when you see kids that are bullied. Along with a lot of similar good advice, my old man and my uncles passed on the side of our family's full dose of outrageous humor, practical jokes, and getting back at bullies and jerks. This made me the class comedian at school, and my revenge on school bullies included jingles and songs over the school PA system, like Jason has a tiny COCK, and did Coach Mikey blow the football team? The girls and nerds loved me, the jocks not so much. Well, then you kind of became a jock in your own right by hitting the gym and all that. Being brought up old school, that is being taught to stand up for myself and taking responsibility for my actions, was also important because my mom is Asian American. This resulted in a lot of hazing at school, even though my brothers and sisters all look more American than Asian. Being brought up old school also meant being clued in by the men in my family on testing and crap behavior as some women thrive on. He says, all women test. That's normal. I've been telling you guys that shit since day one. And the more, if you start acting weak, they're going to test more. Until you stand up to them, lead, be a freaking man. But some just thrive on bad behavior and drama, especially when young, hot, and used to getting their way. Exactly. Hence the hot crazy scale. This knowledge came with a very good advice to cut such crap off right at the start, or you won't be respected, or better still avoid women who can't seem to live without the drama completely. Well, all women like drama, but there's degrees to this. Some want to be right in the thick of it and causing it, others just want to hear about it. Other good advice include always start a date with just a coffee, no expensive first dates, lead but don't control, respect goes both ways. And if a woman is really into you, she doesn't care about gifts or money. So don't waste money trying to buy her, she won't respect you. Never simp, you won't be respected. But equally, don't be a user or abuser. A proper man makes a woman feel safe and cherished, not afraid or confused. You're her rock and she will look for you to lead, but even if she never admits it. Yeah, well, more and more nowadays aren't going to admit it. And the sad thing is, I say all the time, women are attracted to uncertainty. So you got to give them some uncertainty. If a guy gives them certainty, well, then that makes him feel safe and potentially, well, not potentially, very likely to pull BS because they think, hey, this guy isn't going anywhere. So when you say not afraid or confused, sadly, there's got to be a little bit of confusion, a little bit of fear in there that she pushes you too far, you're out of there. She has to know they won't respect you. I can't stress that enough. Just as important, never pick a stupid or uneducated partner. They're boring, frustrating, and a recipe for divorce. And equally, don't waste your time with the rude, the pushy, or anyone who says they don't need a man. Well, that's obvious. And to continue my old man's advice, never pick a lazy partner. Both sides of the relationship need to understand both the value of work and understand and value money. That's why you spend a lot of time getting to know your girl to make sure she doesn't piss away all her money. Her credit cards aren't racked up. She doesn't, if her lifestyle doesn't match your income, it takes a while to pick up on these things. Finally, never ever let a prospective missus know you or your family has money until you thoroughly scoped her out, and that means over several years. A lot of women, my old man explained, are at university looking for a husband and not necessarily for the right reasons. The only way you'll ever know if she's really into you is if you don't flaunt your cash or if a disaster strikes and she really sticks with you. Correct. That's what I said in the beginning. Don't flaunt your success, your wealth, any of that. And now, obviously, if you have a nice house and you treat yourself to a nice car if you can afford it, but you guys get the point. Don't be so obvious about it. And a lot of guys, interestingly, the people with money, I've found out, I've known some people that come from families with a lot of money, and the ones I've known don't flaunt it at all. They drive normal cars, they don't have gigantic, ridiculous McMansions, clothes are normal, but the people that don't have it, they flaunt it like crazy. They're up to their eyeballs in debt, putting on a big, it's all BS. Yeah, so lots of good advice and good examples from my father and uncles and their relationships. Smart, capable men married to smart, capable, feminine women. Keyword feminine women. So a true double slap for me here coming up, and yeah, I do deserve all, as you will see. Well, you'll see, guys. This guy, his wisdom here, they learned from his uncles and father, and he knows this now, but the younger version of him, as I said, didn't know this at the time, or didn't at least use this knowledge at the right time. So there I am. We're going back in time, guys. Once upon a time. He says, so there I am. School finishes off and off to university. There was one girl, Jenny, no real names, of course, to this story, in some of my classes. She had given me eyes at high school, but I always ignored her as she was pure trouble. Yeah, well, let me guess. She's hot. Big red flag. Jenny was really, really hot, but also empowered. That is to say, bossy, rude, and slap happy. Well, I understand why I ignored her, and you should have kept ignoring her. But she's a hottie in her prime. A hottie with a big fucking mouth. And frankly, that big fucking mouth should be used for doing something else than being an obnoxious a-hole. At school and at university, I had a thing for her, as did every other guy I knew. Smack! Jackass. But when we would cross paths, I always gave her the red pill brush off, as all she ever did was try and tangle me up in her BS, usually after a fight with the jocks. She was a queen bee, always causing crap, which she seemed to enjoy. Being hot, mouthy, and rude, she pretty much got away with the shitty behavior as she liked. Yeah, because no one ever called her on it because she was hot. I guarantee she'd been told how beautiful she was from the second she was a little girl and got away with it. Hot crazy scale. At university, we shared a couple classes, and Jenny was in her element. There was always 2 or 3 simps trying to date her, but she always ended up with an idiot with a fast car who would go full princess on her. She was a real user and had a witches and bitches club who acted the same way. Of course, all the mean girls hang out together. And the precious advice on money. A last piece of the puzzle. Did I say my old man is rich? Like self-made, really rich. My mom is a doctor and dad is an entrepreneur. You wouldn't know it because my parents are low-key, good middle-class house and nice cars, but nothing spectacular. What I just say about the wealthy people that I know that don't flaunt it. The deal with university was I could take the classes I wanted, but after year 1, my parents would only pay for the classes that I passed. The rest was up to me. I was given a small allowance to cover basic boarding and a little left over. Anything else I had to make for myself. I arranged to work part-time at a garage fixing motorcycles on Sundays as I really love bikes. I also work weekends at a pizzeria, and chicks like bikes. Dude, if you can make a part-time job while you're in school doing something you enjoy, great. That's what everybody should do. And I like his parents are loaded, but still they're like, okay, we'll take care of this amount, but you're taking care of the rest. Getting some personal responsibility. Good for them. Builds character. Working on bikes, 6 feet plus, popular doing my stand-up routines, doing well in class, and ignoring Jenny seemed to piss Jenny off. After a few months, she took to regularly bugging me, trying to make a connection. My forebrain knew exactly what was going on. That old school cluing in from my dad and uncles, Jenny was one of those who targeted rich guys for cars and parties, but would go for guys that she thought me to be. Guys who like bikes and parties and could look after themselves. What you call a chatter Tyrone. He says, I love those things, by the way. And also, she's probably after you because you weren't chasing after her. And the hot girls hate it. They lose it when guys aren't chasing after them because they're like, why shouldn't all the other guys are hot for me? Why isn't this guy? A bad news for Jenny. I wasn't her usual bad boy. What I will do is step up, which Jenny seemed to interpret as me being bad. This is especially true as stepping up include giving everyone a good laugh at the expense of whatever bit of nastiness the jocks were trying on the freshmen. Finally, as Jenny was to discover, one of my old man's many pieces of good advice is if people start making trouble in the public, it's quite okay to finish it in public. Bullies, especially empowered women, use public spaces to get away with all kinds of crap. So it's more than entertaining to see the shock on their faces when their favorite forum becomes a truly public place. So yeah, I knew exactly what was going on with Jenny, and my ignoring her rather than simping was driving her crazy. But Jenny really was really hot. Yeah, I can see where this is going with she's really hot and kept squeezing it in. Many a men before you and after you will not listen to what's going on in here saying, avoid this chick like the plague because she's got an amazing ass or boobs or pretty face. Being in the comedy club, I was invited to a lot of parties. At one party, Jenny made it clear that she would like to be more than friends, and why did I always ignore her? See? It's driving her nuts. I knew she was screwing with me and trying to make trouble between me and her current boyfriend. So I laid out like my old man uncles would have. If she wanted to go out, we would. But I was exclusive. No other partners for either of us, and I didn't want any drama or crap. I was at university to pass, not F around. Yeah, well, she's there to F around, and if you think she's not going to pull a bunch of BS Miss Drama Queen Drama Fest, Miss Queen Bee of the Mean Girls, you're out of your mind. But guys have to learn. I reminded her how she acted at school and was still acting at university. She was shocked as I described her crap behavior, especially as we were in public. I think it was the first time anybody ever called her out on her BS. Well, good for you. I was expecting a set of bitchy comments or a slapping, her favorite approach to getting her way, but she didn't seem to know what to say. I gave her my phone number and said that's the rules and moved on and enjoyed the party. Well, good for you. Years ago, like 15 years ago, I remember I was out with friends and there was this girl, part of the group I didn't really like, and we ended up sitting next to each other. And I remember this, she was like this little bitchy little mean girl, but she was hot. And we were sitting, for whatever reason, we were sitting next to each other, and I was just in one of my moods, and I said something like we were talking, and I said, I got to tell you, I used to think you were a real bitch when I first met you, and just her mouth dropped to the floor, and she's like, what? And I said, yeah, I did. I said, well, I still do. And she couldn't believe it, but she was laughing. She was drinking everything. And we ended up getting along pretty well. She was just so shocked. And then I actually think she started liking me because I told her that. I used to think she was a bitch and still think she is. When you don't care, it's amazing. And you can do it with a smile. I called Jenny on her crap and thought that was it. Not so much. To my surprise, the next day Jenny called me and we started to date. But boy, was I stupid. Smack. You knew better than to date her, but you had to do it because she was hot. He says, smack. He says, nah, I definitely deserve a double, so slap. Well, you'll get more smacks. Despite the good advice from my fathers, uncles, and grandfather on my mom's side, and knowing exactly how Jenny was, after a few months I started to fool myself that maybe Jenny could be the one. Smack. At 19 years old, are you out of your freaking mind? There's no such thing as the one, and she's an asshole. Guess what? The looks are going to fade in time, but the asshole will only get worse. He says, yes, 19-year-olds truly have no brains, even with the R pill properly. What happened next served me right. Smack again. That's number 5, I think. As one of my brothers said at the time, just pleasure yourself. Better than going out with a psycho, she's totally effing mental. Yeah, well, we all know the hot, crazy ones are amazing in the sack. But it's amazing what you can convince yourself of when you are getting quality poontang. See? And your sausage brain has stolen all the blood from your forebrain. Jenny was an absolute freak in the bedroom, and boy, I was having fun. It's an amazing stereotype, huh? A year later, and Jen and I were still dating. Smack! I get it if you wanted to nail her a couple times and run for the hills, but this is your girlfriend? Oh, I'm sure this was fun. Her father seemed to think I was the best thing since sliced bread. Jenny's crap behavior had apparently improved enormously. I was a good influence on her. All those red flags, but with me at 19 going on 20 and getting my oats well and truly sown. He says, ew, no, I know she was a handful, but I had no idea how nuts she really was. So despite do you know where this is, what you were doing for my father, and one of my uncles giving me the hoe bottle on a hunting trip, I moved in with Jenny. You moved in with her? Smack, smack, smack. Dude, are you out of your mind? You only move in with a girl if you're going to marry her and you've been with her for years. That's the final test. Not just so we can, let me guess, I can get even more crazy sex. No, you're going to get less, but you're going to get a whole lot more crazy. He says, so what is a hoe bottle? My uncle explained that every man thinks that his sausage once in a life, especially when he's my age. If you're not listening to advice, then the men of your family give you your hoe bottle as a reminder to think with your brain the next time, not your sausage. If all goes right, your hoe bottle stays full. If it turns out to be a classic F up because you thought with your sausage, you drink your bottle. Okay, I never heard that one before. My old man uncle went on to explain you drink your hoe bottle and then that's it. That's your pity party for effing up. Then you get up, accept the consequences, be a man and move on. You get one day to feel like a schmuck, then get over it. I'm okay with that. The hoe bottle, that's a new one. Great conversation for a campfire talk. Of course, my brothers and my cousin threw sticks at me, along with chants of gonna drink. Great trip, and we all laughed. I did find out that both my old man and uncle had drunk their hoe bottles for their screw-ups. Their dad had given them theirs, and boy was my old man's bottle story a doozy. So they were giving me good advice from their own experiences. Now my old man is smart, and my uncle is a good guy, so I was definitely thinking, yeah, maybe moving in with Jenny so fast was a mistake. You think? Even my grandfather gave me the stink eye, and my mom said I was too young to move in with anyone. Okay, there's a situation where a woman gives decent advice. My sister did not get on with Jenny at all, and said Jenny and her friends were all Kardashians. That's a joke in our house, as one of my brothers was once asked about the Kardashians by his then girlfriend, and he told her he thought it was a program about a family of prostitutes, cracked us up all stupid. Well, pretty much. So yeah, I was RP'd, acting dumb, but my radar was definitely up. Jenny seemed to behave herself for the 2 years we were together, and man, she was a screaming good lay. I thought things were good until we both had a couple weeks from graduation. Jenny started to act bitchy and distant. Red flashing lights, and I suspected my whole bottle was about to get drunk. I was upset, but knowing Jenny's old behavior, knew what was likely going on. I swallowed my pride, gave myself a day or two to think about things, and if things were as I thought, give everyone in the whiskey and comedy clubs a good laugh no one would soon forget. I asked around and found that when I was working the all-pizza night shift, Jenny and her friends were sneaking off partying. Got to give it to her. She was really careful. She knew I wouldn't tolerate any crap. I told my best friend Chuck, and he said that I just to have it out with her. But having heard my old man's story, I knew how nasty things could get. Yeah, you're darn right. And given the fact that you admitted that she's crazy, but you were with her for a few years. And of course she's already sneaking around behind your back. It's only a matter of time, man. I also told my old man, he didn't say I told you so. I had been warned. He just said, he just asked for my hoe bottle. He said, open it, then asked for it and took a giant slug. He said it was for the old time's sake because we were all young once. So your dad realizes you're young and you're going to do dumbass things that young people do in spite of listening to the wise elders that are trying to help you. That's what I do on this channel. He passed me the bottle and said, well, Chuck is right. Confirm your checks, and if it looks bad, ask her. If it's true, kick her to the curb and drink your bottle. He also explained why my hoe bottle was such total disgusting rot gut. The old man is a whiskey connoisseur. It was to give the drinker the mother of all hangovers because drinks solve nothing. My other learning was you don't climb into a bottle when shit happens. You get up and get a plan and move on. Correct. He went on to say that there are plenty of good women out there, but it didn't sound like Jenny was one of them. He told me to ask for her phone. If she wouldn't hand it over, that was all I needed to know. If it was clean, she still had to explain the partying. If she handed it over, watch her face. If she looks smug, she's scrubbed, or doesn't care. Either way, she isn't worth the time of your day. If she will cheat on you once, she will cheat on you again. Exactly, and again, how many times have I said that? Once a cheater, always a cheater. My old man is a good guy, but also hard as nails. He said, record everything when I spoke to her, make sure everyone else is present or nearby. Have it out in public, not to lose my temper, and to forward any incriminating texts or emails she might have to myself and a third party. If there was evidence, don't ever throw the evidence away, even years later. Yes, always keep the evidence, guys. You never know when you may need it, because these gals in these stories tend to come back, for better or for worse, or for your own humor or not for your humor. It's good to keep the evidence. Know my old man's story, I thought, yeah, maybe that's paranoid, but I will do it. Well, it's about time you start listening to your old man. You should listen before not getting involved with his nut job. I did a bit more snooping, and Jenny was not just cheating. She and her friends were the town bikes at a nightclub, a couple of suburbs over, a couple of times a month when I was on the night shift. So there you go. She's putting up the good girl act in front of you, but the reality is, Lord knows how long she's been cheating on you. Now, you never mentioned like you were deeply in love with her or anything. Maybe because you were smart enough not to let that happen. She was your girlfriend, you moved in with her, you were banging her, had your fun, but sounds like she never got your heart. It says, first up, an STD check. My old man advised it, and I'm not stupid. I had all checks run twice through 2 different labs. Absolutely humiliating, and I'll never forget, but it was good. I've been RP'd to always use protection by both my old man and uncles, and even by my mother. And guys, always dispose the product yourself, because some girls will do really silly things to get pregnant. I've been saying that since day one. And this guy really wrote this well, and he says he does writing, so you can see here. By the way, this is not a conversation you want to have with your mother, especially with your brothers around. Mom gave me the full lecture as soon as she found out I was dating Jenny. For a month afterwards, my brothers would pretend to extract semen from plastic bags using a turkey baster. Utter savages, but I couldn't deny I would have done the same. Turkey baster now has this very special meaning in our family. Only brothers, right? One of my uncles is just as bad, taking opportunities to discuss turkey basting and special sauce at every Thanksgiving. Guess that's one joke that's not going to go away anytime soon. Bro, you're going to hear that for the rest of your fucking life. I waited for a night when Jenny was out, and then Chuck, my brothers, and I moved all her stuff into a van to be dropped off at her parents' as soon as I threw her ass to the curb. Awesome. Jenny came home after one of her hookups, expecting me to be at work. I was totally cool. I knew this day might come from the day I started dating her. I'd hoped for more, but shit happens and you move on. I had Chuck, one of my brothers, on Chuck's phone and both of our phones on record. I asked her, how's the screwing around going? I can only imagine her look. I expected her to deny everything, cry, throw a screaming fit, or break things. Instead, she just gave me a look and said, "None of your business." She didn't even know how I knew. Well, it goes to show you she truly doesn't give a shit. I would be effed if I would let her get a rise out of me. I didn't need any more proof, but I asked her for her phone anyhow. I liked her parents, I'd be effed to let her ruin my reputation by telling lies about who cheated on whom. She handed me her phone and even seemed to enjoy my reaction as I scrolled through her messages. She had a dating email on her phone and a chat group of friends. Her cheating went back months, and she and her friends were discussing guys, who was effing who, and how much different partners might make following graduation. What did his dad say? They're going to use college they have fun, but they also size up future prospects and husbands that can, see, right here. There was also a few comments about me and other guys who had to work and how our families probably had no real money. A total pack of gold diggers. Oh, well, obviously you listened to your dad by not flaunting it too much because obviously your family's loaded and she didn't pick up on that. From the text, Jenny liked me in bed, but she was now looking for someone with deep pockets. At least I scored well in the bed department. In some of the texts, her friends razzed her about liking me too much and putting up with my rules for so long. They've been encouraging her to cheat. What I tell you about pay attention to who a girl's friends are? She was going to dump me after graduation and was already cheating with a rich simp in one of her classes. She'd been screwing him for months, plus her hookups at nightclubs. And there you go. So guys, that is going to end part 1. Don't scream and yell. I'm going to have part 2 in a few hours. And then this is a long series. So then part 3 of this guy's adventure a few hours after that. So you get the whole story all today. But like I said, we're just building up here as to where things go with this crazy woman. And you're going to see just how nuts this girl is. And of course, our man here has the last laugh. So a nice 3-part trilogy. We haven't done this in several months. So guys, stay tuned for part 2 in a few hours, and I will see you then.